Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Longbox. I'm here with Sam from Sinopa Publishing. How you doing? Oh,
Good,
you
man.
froze.
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you froze for a little bit already. How's it going?
That's probably because I got too much stuff open while I was sharing stuff around on the interwebs.
Yep.
There we go. How's that?
So,
Better?
I got to get Zactan with our blessing. He gives me a good blessing every time I go live. And of course, my comic Heroic Tales is still available on Fund My Comic. I've been vague with trying to get issue two together. I'm kind of, I don't want to say dragging my heels, but I'm looking. It seems like right now is not the best time to launch a campaign. So, I'm seeing other people more successful than me, like with low numbers. So I'm kind of pacing a little bit. Pacing, there you go. That's the word I'm using. I'm pacing. So, sooner rather than later, we'll be launching the campaign for issue number 2. We're a little bit, just about halfway done making the comic already. So there you go with that. So anyway, how are you doing? Sam from Sinopa Publishing. I put out a call that I've been neglecting getting guests. I got like overwhelmed with people.
I'm glad you fit me in the schedule, man.
Yeah, well, I got one of your comics. I got TB and her time traveling mushrooms. I got that. I think I got it on a Fund My Comic.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We have a Fund My Comic shop. I've taken it down right now because we're redoing it, adding other products, and we're doing a quick recalculation on the shipping. Shouldn't have taken that long, but I took it down. I was about to start working on it. Then my stepfather ended up in the hospital.
Oh no!
And unfortunately, he's not going to be leaving. So we're kind of taking care of family until I can get back to.
Oh my God!
I
don't mean to pry, but how old is he?
He's in his 70s. He's a Vietnam era veteran.
That's too young. That's too young. My dad was only 72. That is too young. And then my grandmother was in her 90s. You know what I mean? So
gotcha.
Yeah, but grandma didn't smoke.
Well, neither did my stepdad. He just he had a very sudden onset of a medical condition that was undetected, unforeseen, and so we're trying to keep him as comfortable as possible. But thank you for.
Yeah, your dad. So your stepdad was Vietnam. My father was a Korean War. War vets. War vets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the old school tough guys, right? I'm sure he did not go to the doctor until it was too late, right? Like my dad.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, he didn't go to the doctor until family said, "Hold on a second, something's wrong. We're going to send you to the hospital."
Yeah, that's an old school. Nowadays, he's just like, I don't feel good. I'm going to the doctor. But I don't. Sorry to dwell on this, but it's okay. It's a subject that one of my buddies is going through his family with dementia and everything. It's just it's part of life. It's part of life. But anyway, you're not everything. You're Sam from Sinopa Publishing. Sinopa Publishing is what, a house of people.
Sinopa Publishing is me. I do I own the company. I run all the crowdfunding campaigns. I handle all the formatting of stuff. I write. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate you, man. I write almost everything we publish. The only thing we publish right now that I'm not writing is Necroholic by Brian Lee. He's kind of our canary in the coal mine for test publishing of other folks. But I've known Brian for 26 years. So I've literally known him since he was a preteen. His family is like family to me, and we all go way back. But the Sinopa has been in existence. I founded it in 2017, so I could build something that I could leave to my kids. And we've been making role-playing games and comics. We're going to release another role-playing game book this year. We hadn't put one out in a while. I've been doing a lot more with comics the last 5 years. But we've got 10 comics out right now and in print, 4 different product lines currently in print. Fifth product line coming out later this year. It's busy. Hopefully one of these days we'll get to a monthly release schedule, but that's gonna probably a couple of years from now.
Okay, so my regulars are laughing right now because you said the magic word role-playing games.
Yes.
So I got to ask you, what are the role-playing games that you make?
We make open game license 5e content. So we've got adventure modules, we've got source books, and then we've got 2 of our little Sinopa omnibus books out. Those are like a collection of little short 1- and 2-page short stories attached with an art piece for the character or subject or item that we're talking about, and then
I always point over here and I never get it, but I just keep talking.
And then actually, wow, excuse me.
It's okay.
Put out
but I always talk about this role-playing game, and I always point over there and I say, "Why do
I know that one."
Right? Yeah, this is my go-to role-playing game.
Yeah, I haven't played Villains of Vigilante since the 90s, but I mean, we used to play the hell out of it. My favorite is actually Talislanta, but it's not an open game license, so I can't really write to it.
So when you said you write for 5E, you're talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's under their open game license.
Okay.
But Wizards of the Coast has done so much in the last few years to make me never want to write under that agreement again. But I've got a commitment for 2 more books. I want to go ahead and get those out, and then we'll hopefully.
What do you mean by that? What if you don't mind? What did they do, or what did they say, or what's going on?
I've paid artists, and I have all the art done for 2 different books that I'm sitting on that I haven't released yet because there was a problem that came up with Wizards of the Coast wanting to change the open game license, and that would have really screwed us.
Was that about a year ago? There was a big,
about a year, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it's one of the beautiful things about being in a bubble playing a role-playing game that came out in 1982 is that I missed the edition wars of all the D&D people fighting Pathfinder tribes and the whatever tribes, but I remember there was like Wizards of the Coast is trying to steal all our stuff, and of course it got blown out of proportion, but I never knew the exact. So you're an actual person who was affected by this, so it really was a thing. See,
yeah, very much so. And then every time they've done something that moves more people away from that product line and from that edition and that rule set, it hurts everyone who's using it. So we've got a lot of people who are focusing more on their own game mechanics. I've got a system I've been working on for the last couple of years. Trying to get it right in one go is
right.
The hard part, making sure that you're testing the math and the scenarios and the different build possibilities, and then putting together your rule set to make sure that it's fun, flexible, easy to manage. It's a task.
What genre is your role-playing game going to be?
This one is, I guess I can actually tell you a little bit about it. The book is titled 8 Lands of Adventure. There's actually 7 different genres. Each of them will be their own world book. So you'll have fantasy, near future cyber fantasy. There's a heroes and supervillains setting. And so you basically got these 7 main genre books, right? And then your 8th genre, that 8th land of adventure, that's your table. That's the world that you play in. That's your sandbox that you've done, taking what you like and putting it into there. And so between building the skill rules and the crafting rules and the combat's easy. The combat system is modeled very, very well, I think. And then just the little nuance of being able to really pick and choose what you want to do with your character as you go. Testing that is a pain in the ass, but I think we're on to something, and I'm hoping that when we get that together, we can start getting some cool art for it, and hopefully bring it to Kickstarter. I wanted to do that late this year, and then the more I think about it, the more I think it's probably going to be 2027.
Yeah.
Is that my favorite class to play for the 5e mechanic? It's Wizards, which is also the same thing as my favorite for the Talislanta rule set, and also for Shadowrun. Shadowrun's I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, believe it or not, Shadowrun is the only role-playing game my wife has played before we even met. She just dated a guy, and when the first couple of dates you're on your best behavior and you're like, oh yeah, I love role-playing games. Then she played. Then I'm like, oh yeah, let's play role-playing. I just said that to a guy that I met once years ago.
Yeah.
So no, I take it back. She played with me. Her character might actually show up in Heroic Tale. So I'm going to ask you a controversial question.
Okay.
I am of the opinion that there's too many character classes in Dungeons and Dragons. What do you think? And we'll get to your comics. You just said the magic word role-playing games, and my friends are laughing.
I don't think there are in the core rule set. What I do think is that as we get out into more and more supplements. And as a guy who's made supplementary content, this sounds like I'm shooting myself in the foot, but it's true. I think sometimes you see stuff that's a little unnecessary that you could just really do if you just swapped out an ability, and all of a sudden your ranger becomes your bounty hunter or whatever.
Right. Like, what is really the difference between a fighter and a barbarian? You're just a fighter from a different culture.
Right. And so the key thing, I think, is if you're going to make sure and change something, you need some substance outside of, a mechanical change is fun and can have its place, but I think also you need some substance to back it up. One of the books that we put out is Whispers of Persephone, which is a book on necromancy, but it's a book on necromancy that's based on pre-Renaissance magical practices and occult practices. And so it's
in history,
we pulled like
real magical history, you know what I mean?
Right. We pulled rituals and folk tales and things, and different segments from horror stories and old myths and whatnot. Like we took one of the things that we have in there. This is
right up my alley. If you could please send me a DM of where to pick up a copy of that book, on Twitter. That is something I'm super, super interested in.
And it's basically, I'll give you guys some spoilers. So we've got, with that, we crowdfunded it because we crowdfund everything to make sure we're paying our artists really well, because I can't draw. Not yet anyway. But we crowdfunded it. We added some of our backers into the book as part of this necromantic cult. And the thing about this cult is that they are they're basically a cult of serial killers, is a good way to put it. And
isn't every good necromancer what's a little casual murder once in a while, right?
And so the wild part about this is that out of all of these characters, the one that really seems to have caught on is this one junior low-level little necromancer, a woman named Ild, who is absolutely terrifying. We built her into the when I wrote our 2019 adventure module, Death Comes to Glenfollow. She's the main big bad in that. And out of 28 test games, she was never killed and only defeated 4 times between the groups who tested it. And she had 11 TPKs.
I'm just looking. Is Whispers of Persephone, is this something I can pick up now, or is it coming up?
Yeah, it's been released since, I think we put it out in 2018. It's on drive-through right now. I think it's actually on sale right now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Do I have that on
It's
sale?
the first thing that popped up, because this just sounds like something that I'm just totally interested in. And I would just like to point out, we said role-playing games, and somewhere through the ether, Yang Yao Zhao popped. He heard that word, and his ears went on fire, and he showed up. So good to see you, Yang.
To give you an idea, let me reach out over here into my bundle of joy over here. Here's 2 of the print-on-demand versions of it, and actually these are the playtest versions, but they're the same covers. So we have the nice gloss black with the Whispers of Persephone title, and then we have the flesh and blood cover, which when you open the spine of the book is a spine.
Oh, cool.
And so art in this was done by Christian Martinez, who's a graduate of the Kubert School. To give you an idea, we use this with this bloodstained page art throughout it, so it looks like the book was just dipped in blood and you carried it on with it.
Is that the hardcover premium color book?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's.
And then there's also a soft cover one, and we do have one that in addition in there that doesn't have the bloody pages in there. If I went through and I redid it, I would probably lower the contrast on that a little bit so that it didn't interfere with some of the text, because sometimes if you're if you're in low light, it can be a little difficult to read. But Christian did some fantastic work on our art in here. So if you like to drink from the skulls of your enemies, there's a magic item for that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm filling out my form as we speak. This, when you said pre-Renaissance historically based magic and alchemy and That stuff I'm fascinated
So,
by.
like, to give you an idea, there's poisons in here. There's new curses, and spells in here that are like absolutely horrific. I think everyone likes to see like new and cool kind of low level stuff, mid level stuff, and high level stuff. So if we go from like to give you an idea, like one of the low level ones. Oh, and the tradition of these cultists, there's a very specific necromancy tradition in this. It takes and swaps out some of the necromancy skills from the base edition and replaces it with some interesting requirements and some progression. So there's a blood sacrifice first level spell. It's a ritual, which is one of the hearts and souls of their whole thing. But like some of the things in here, like the first rite of mummification, truth and death. This is one of those things where you cut off the head of an enemy, and then basically you can extort the truth as that person knew it while you have their head on a pike.
There you
go. Just kind of fun stuff.
A pike is just a battle staff, and a staff, as you know, is something a wizard uses. There you go.
There's a necromantic version of the blindness spell called Ild's Eye Rot that actually rots the eyes out of the head of the target. And it's really only there for basically to be a gruesome version of it. And that's just all these necromancy, clean hands. It cleans blood off your hands.
Right.
So just a lot of fun little stuff in here. That I say fun little stuff. There's one in here that causes you to have epileptic seizures. It's a pretty rough one. And then some interesting feats and magic items, cursed items, new monsters. We've crammed a lot into this book, and we have, God, it's been a while since I looked at this, of content. We have, let's get past the credits. We have 141 pages of content. So, Whispers of Persephone. It's also the only book I've ever written that's been banned by a country.
Ah, there you go.
Because we're banned in the United Arab Emirates with that book for sorcery.
Well, there you go. You don't be drinking any blood of the enemies back over in the United Emirates. They're lost. Yeah. As I said, I sooner or later, if my comic does, I'd like to do like a superhero role-playing game that I've been thinking about. Maybe I'll ask you questions later on. I didn't know you were a role-playing game designer, because I have a base idea of how I want it to work, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. Mm-hmm. And Zach Ted says, do you have any Weird West or pirate themes worlds?
We haven't done any Weird West or pirate themed stuff yet. The nice thing about Eight Lands is we'll be able to add other genre books as we go, because we're sticking kind of like how GURPS has one mechanic set and then you add like little stuff as you go. The only thing is we don't want to like have a big power surge as we add stuff out, because we saw that a lot with really with Palladium books after Rifts for some of the outlying stuff before they reined it back in. But getting other genres out there, I think, is going to be pretty cool. After we get the core mechanics in the first 7 genres out.
So, Sinopa. What does Sinopia Publishing mean? Is that your name?
Sinopa is actually a name from way back in my lineage. It's from the Blackfoot Indian tribe. It means fox or fox kit, like small fox child. And so it's one of those things that we latched on to and stuck with to kind of honor some of the people way up the family tree.
Okay. So you're the main writer of everything, and then you hire out the artists?
I hire out all the artists. I write, like I said, I write everything except for Necroholic. We've got a couple of other creator-owned projects that we're looking to bring in later on this year. And then might have another one that we take on next year, depending on if he gets it done. The thing about the creators that are coming in later, they're people who I've worked with before, and and who understand how we're doing this. Now, one of the big problems right now, of course, is with the Diamond bankruptcy and the uncertainty in distribution. I myself am not very affected by that because I ship directly to like 30 different stores as far as comic shops go. And then I distribute through Comics Mainstream Distribution in Oregon, and they've got us on 20 something stores there with spinner racks and on shelves and things. And then we sell stuff through thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. Sell stuff online, and then of course through our crowdfunding. But the big thing too, Necroholic has proven this already, as have our other stuff. The big money to be made, if there is any big money in comics, which there's not at small scale, but the money to be made is really direct to the customer. So what I do with comics particularly, we crowdfund. I print as big of a press run as I can, and then we take and hi, honey. I'm on the interview.
I thought you were talking to me. Hello, dear.
Hold on one second. Was it?
Thought he was talking to me. I could be honey.
Willow, I'm on the stream. Go lay down. Yes, you can, but don't do that again, okay, honey? All right, I love you. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I love you too.
That's my youngest. She's 10. Apparently, I didn't communicate something very well earlier, so sorry, guys.
It's okay. We had to get the kid just came walking. Dad, I'm hungry, picking his nose. You know.
Gotcha.
Kids are kids. Kids are fun.
Well, she's a fantastic one. She's a good kid, smart as a whip. I tell you, she's something. But I was saying we print historically anyway. We print as large of a run as we can so that we can get a good economy of scale. That's what makes it possible for us to ship directly to our supporting stores. So to give you an idea, that usually is about 3,000 or 5,000 books or so, 3,000 to 5,000 books usually, right? Which is a big investment. But we crowdfund basically what's left of the production cost, the print cost to meet that, and then the shipping costs on there. And then everything else is basically out of pocket, and then recover that from future sales.
That's right. I with my comic, I had, I don't know, I'm going to say close to 400 sales, you know, for my first run, but I printed well over because, like you said, you hit a certain number, you reduce the price, and I'm hoping with issue 2, some people come and like, let me get issue number 1. You know what I mean? So yeah, and so like some people told me they didn't want to pay shipping for just one comic, and I totally understand.
I get that. I do. I get that. The big thing about that too is that shipping's not going to come down. And neither are print costs. Do I play RPGs with my kids? On occasion, but my kids are more interested in when we're watching anime or going to the movies or, you know, going to the park and stuff together. If we're playing games, we've played a couple of different RPG sessions, and then we've done a lot of board gaming, a lot of board games.
I'm also a board gamer. Just out of curiosity, what's a good game that you would play with your kids?
Oh God, what haven't we played with the kids?
Just while you're thinking, I spent all day building a storage solution for a game called Western Legends.
I think one of the most recent ones we played was a Monopoly versions for Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters Monopoly. I think it was one of the most recent ones we did.
Okay,
a couple of different card games. My kids, my 2 youngest kids, they play Pokemon with each other, you know, quite a bit. So that's fun too.
I taught my nephew got into Pokemon, so I was like, oh, okay. So I bought him a play mat, and I bought a bunch of cards, and then we sat down. I was teaching him. He just likes the cards. He doesn't want to play the game. He was polite. He was just polite. Yep, that's okay. Kids are important. The society's either crying or dying. Yeah,
very true.
You know, yeah. Kids are important. So anyway, you were talking about your artist, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but. Now the coffee's kicking in. I was complaining that I was sleepy before, so I was drinking coffee.
No, believe me, I feel you. I'm already almost through this one.
Yeah, it's a snowy day here in New York, so I just lazy. But anyway, I put out a call that I needed guests, and a whole bunch of people come in, and a lot of people, you know, their art isn't really up to snuff or whatever, you know. But I already bought one of your books, so I was like, oh yeah, I know you. I got TB Inner Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms because the art is just beautiful.
Yeah.
The
Damien
art,
Torres. Yeah, he's fantastic.
yeah. I mean, like it's the only thing. This TV, she's just beautiful, gorgeous, and it reminds me of a. I know Greg Land is kind of like controversial because he swipes other people's art, but show me an artist that doesn't use reference. Taking a picture of a beautiful woman and then redrawing it is a lot better than AI and then just like digital repainting, which is what other guys. But anyway, so my point being is I still like Greg Land, but Frank Chow is another one, and Terry Dodson. So I was like, oh, I'm going to pick this up. And this is the first comic. I got it on Fund My Comic because I put my comic on Fund My Comic, and then I was just perusing everything, and it was the first that I just picked up just because it looked good. You know what I mean? Usually I hear about it, I go looking for it. But so my point being is on Fund My Comic with all of the beautiful looking comics, this stood out, and I picked it up cold. And I actually made a video on it. If you look through my back catalog,
I haven't seen it yet. No, I need to go back through there. I must have missed that one.
But my only criticism was, and people are going to laugh, is commit to the bit. If she's walking around naked, she's naked. Don't. You know what I mean? Like
that's probably the only complaint we've had is the bubbles didn't fall off in the first one.
Like if she's, I'm not a prude. My comic is all ages. And I'm working on a second comic that's going to be mature, and it's going to be labeled mature. There's going to be scenes in it that are supposed to make people uncomfortable. So commit to the bit. If she's walking around naked, then be naked.
Well, in issue 2, we have a lot of naked hippies because we're going back to a certain music festival. But because of people from the crowdfunding campaign for the first one, and people who have had some feedback wanted to see some more full nude stuff, we were going to take and originally do these 4 NSFW pinups as stretch goals. And I said, you know what? We've already got to raise a huge amount of money. Let's just go ahead and just put them all in. Boom. The book is just we put those in there, and we put those in the back, and we just run with it. So, and now the thing about this too, I said that we print like the largest press runs we can, right?
Yeah.
When we go to, print another press run, we don't use the same cover, right? So when we finally run through the last of the 5,000 copies we printed of Tibby 1, that'll be it for that cover.
Right. A second printing. Yeah.
Yeah. When Art Press re-released it, we re-released it with a new cover we had done specifically for that. So we're kind of keeping the same vibe on that. And then what we'll be doing is those pinups will only be in the crowdfunding editions. So you're going to have to get them either from the crowdfunding campaign, from one of the 30 some shops that order from us directly for those editions, or find me at a convention or get them off Fund My Comic if we have any left. So after that, we'll print a larger run with another cover variant.
So are you think, like my friend Tonic Ball has Saving the World, and he has, clouds covering certain things, and then he has another, non-safe for work. Would you think of something like that, like 2 different versions, so people get what they're comfortable with?
Well, here's the thing with issue 2, there's a lot of nudity just in the context, because like I said, we are going back to 1969 to a very famous and infamous music festival. There were a lot of naked people running around there, so we've got a lot of naked hippies. And there's the thing about it is that Tibby issue 1 is very artistically done.
Right. It's guys, I don't want you to make you think that it's like porn or anything. There's a comic called Cherry Pop Tart that this is not Cherry Pop Tart. This is tasteful. It's cheeky, but it's tasteful. And I'm not a prude. I think a comic book made for adults, and it's clearly labeled. I mean, geez, the title is Enter Psychedelic Mushrooms. You know what you get. Yeah. So I don't think you're doing anything wrong. So don't get your hackles up. I enjoyed the comic to the point where once I saw that this was you, I was like, yeah, come on, let's talk about this. I enjoyed the comic. It's been so long. I thought maybe something happened, that you lost interest or whatever. I was like, is there ever going to be an issue 2? And then I'm like, maybe it's just a one shot. It's just something you got out of his system. So
Well,
I'm
no,
glad to have you back. I'm looking forward to number 2, and I think it's a fun, cheeky comic. There's
we
nothing
wanted
wrong
to
with
do wanted to do issue 2 last year, but in the summer I got COVID for the first and hopefully only time. And that kind of, we had a production schedule that would have had like 8 different crowdfunding campaigns last year, and we
that.
ended
Oh,
up
that's
only
too
doing
much.
2. You know?
I could barely do one at a time without freaking stressing out. So
Well, the fun part is that Kickstarter has me recognized as I don't remember what they call us, a trusted creator or what it is. I'm actually allowed to have up to 6 campaigns open at once,
oh wow.
which is fine. But here's the thing: all of my campaigns across every platform are fulfilled. Like the one Indiegogo, well, sorry, we did 2 Indiegogo
Or
campaigns
unfulfilled or fulfilled.
are fulfilled. They're all
I was I got it really quick.
Yeah, we've been fulfilling campaigns like that. We had one campaign that was like 8 months late, and that was 2019. But I kept everyone in the loop, and that was because the book file itself accidentally got deleted, so I had to go through and rewrite that entire book. Yeah, that was a pain. And it was like a 70-page adventure module. So that was terrible.
Old Dirty Fatty has a really important comment. You can't time travel with clothes if we learned anything from the Terminator.
Well, we're gonna have some clothes in a few. Like in this issue, she has some clothes on, as you see with the T-shirt. And
there you go. Gave everybody their option. That's the way I feel.
And so I'm gonna plug this real quick, guys. If you want to see what we're talking about with the art style and what we do with nude scenes and stuff, there's a link in the comments for Tibby in digital format through Drive-Thru Comics, Drive-Thru RPG.
Okay, I'll bring that up.
It's on sale right now for 99 cents. So you can get it for $1. You can be reading it actually before we're done here if you want. But also another thing too, for those of you who are doing your own comics and your own creations and such, I am one of those people who advocates for putting your stuff out on as many different platforms as possible. But one thing I like about Drive-Thru, and one reason I've been using them since 2017, is that with Drive-Thru, not only can you get your book out there, they'll do print on demand for stuff if you want. I do print on demand for RPG stuff. We will be adding new covers to do print on demand stuff for our comics probably next year. I don't think we really have time to get it done this year with everything else. But in the background of your publisher integration, you can actually go in and assign royalties to the people who you were working with. So if you have a royalty clause in your contracts, and for the love of God, please always use contracts when you're hiring artists, you can sit there and assign that royalty percentage out there. So on all of these comics, if they didn't have, all these comics, if they didn't have a royalty percentage originally in the contract, once I hit a break-even point and we hit that inflection, then I go in and I assign like a small royalty on each of them anyway for the contributors. So every time someone buys 47 Furious Tales, even though there's no royalty attached to that on the contracts, Alexia Veldhausen gets paid every single time we sell that. Every time we sell Reign of Ages, which is co-owned between me and Nick Capone, every time it sells there, he gets his half of that royalty. And then with Tibby, we have royalties assigned to the editor, which is Alexia, to the letterer, Taylor Esposito, Damian Torres, who's the cover artist and line artist on the interior, and Dakota Erhan. Every single time these guys get a few nickels or dimes. And this is one of the ways that, and one of the reasons I think too, that I've been able to keep so much incredible talent working with me over the years. I'm really very blessed to work with people who produce this level of art.
I'm looking over here. I just, like I said, the art for TB really, and the coloring. You got to give credit to the colorist. But I just noticed over here, these like Reign of Ages and Necroholic. These are all your other comics, right?
Right. Necroholic's actually created by Brian Lee, and we publish it for him. So we actually only have I actually have a very tiny royalty myself, and everything else goes to him. Reign of Ages is co-created by myself and Nick Capone, and we split the royalties on that. And of course, every artist who does anything for Sinopa is paid according to their contract. When we first started, I had some misconceptions about how things were going to perform. And so for the first two, I think it was the first two books that we put out, maybe the first three, we had a royalty-based commission, a compensation plan set for everything. So our earliest books, those guys are making money every time that something is bought, and that was their compensation for it. So my percentage on those is really small. But the problem is that it took far longer for them to get paid to a threshold that they would have had if they were at a page rate. So starting with, like I said, it was either the third or the fourth book.
I'm just scrolling through. I got to say, again, I only knew you through TV, but some of these are just really like this is such a great cover. I'm really intrigued by this. Is can I get hard copies? Because I'm not a PDF guy.
Yeah.
Where would somebody, like an old fart like me who needs comic books to read?
We'll have them up on Fund My Comic probably next week. If you want them sooner, if you want them sooner than that, I can probably put some together and ship them to you.
I'll wait for Fund My Comic, because
now I'll tell you guys this. Here, a little peek behind the curtain.
Sure you go.
When Tibby and Her Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms issue 2 goes live, one of the add-ons in that is 47 Furious Tales issues 1, 2, and 3 in print for $10. Cool.
There you go.
Well, it's $10 plus I think $1 or $2 for the shipping extra on it. But yeah, you're basically at that point paying you're getting the same that we do for our convention specials.
But all your stuff looks a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. What is this? Lost Magic? Cool.
That's by Aman Nassim. Aman and I have had a few in the past. We've had a few joint projects with joint promotions that we've done through crowdfunding. Armand and I have not talked in a few years, though.
Oh,
he's actually a remarkably talented writer, and he's hired some really great talent for his work. So definitely, if you haven't checked out Lost Magic before, I think that's his first work that he did out, and I think it's the one I favor the most. I like that quite a lot. But yeah, certainly check him out. He's done probably 20 campaigns in the last 5 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So TB number 2 is going to come on to Fund My Comic, you said, in a week or two?
Well, it's going to come to Kickstarter first. We always fund first on Kickstarter because we need to raise $10,000 to get that book funded. And I know everyone, when they hear that, they're like, oh, wow.
No, that's a reachable number. I mean, I did almost 8,000 and I'm nobody on my first. So, with you, with this big house, you should be able to do it.
Well, the largest we've ever done on Kickstarter was about 8,300, and that was Tibby 1. And then we did another, what did we do? A couple of thousand between the other crowdfunding platforms for that. So Tibby, or just under a couple of thousand. Tibby, I think, for crowdfunding came in right under 10, and then we had I want to say $700 or $800 in direct to shop orders between the different shops we supply.
Do you go to conventions?
Yeah, we actually we started the fulfillment on Tibby, and then had those books going out, and literally 2 days after that, I was on my way to Pennsylvania to Brian Lee's place where I'd shipped half of the Tibby books from the printer. And then the books got there the next morning, and then we were over to New York Comic Con 2023. So it's the only time I've done New York Comic Con so far. I'm hoping to get in either this year or next year. And then, of course, I've done a lot of local cons, the Lexington Toy and Comic Festival, Lexington Game Con, Cincinnati, Louisville Pop Con, a bunch of local stuff. And I'll tell you, though, pound for pound, the little small shows at local libraries and little mom and pop cons have been some of the most rewarding ones to do.
Everybody says that.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's New York Comic Con, don't get me wrong, I had a blast. We went through, I think, 11 boxes just of Tibby alone, and then plus 2 or 3 boxes of 47 Furious Tales. I don't know how much we went through for Reign of Ages. It was a lot. And then 5 boxes of Necroholic. So, I mean, we were just horrifically busy. And then, of course, we also do art prints for our product lines. And I that came to my mind because I just need a bunch of them right in my Oh no, these are originals. Well, let's go get this. To give you an idea, this is one of the ones that we've got coming for Tibby issue 2, one of the holochromes. So, but yeah, we stay busy, man. We stay busy.
You got a lot of different types of comics. You know, a funny animal samurai. Like is Necroholic kind of like funny occult?
Necroholic is a dark comedy about
that's it. I couldn't think of the word.
About a modern day necromancer with a drinking problem and all the hijinks she gets into when she drinks too much. And the fun part about this is each issue
spirits turns into a different
and each issue has its own cocktail recipe in it. So funny story, when we sent Necroholic issue 3 to the printer, it had already been reviewed by the creator. It had been reviewed by me in editorial. We'd made all the corrections that we saw, got it laid out in print format, sent it to the printer. Next day, I get a message from my the support lady that I deal with at the printer, and she says, "Hey, the guys in the print shop found a typo error in this issue. They say there's missing some text." And I was like, "What? Where would the text be missing?" Because I mean, we went over word bubble by word bubble, right? And she says it's in the cocktail recipe. I'm like, "What?" And so I go and look, and the file that was uploaded, there were 2 ingredients in this cocktail, and to the right, it didn't have the quantity. And it turns out what happened is that the first 2 issues of Necroholic, when they came out, the guys in the print shop decided to try the cocktails that were in there. And so when Necroholic 3 came, they went to copy down the cocktail recipe, and there was lines missing. And if they hadn't been drinking the cocktails that we had been putting in there, we would have never seen it, because it was a problem with the file layer that Brian had sent me didn't have that. So I'd send it back to him.
Let's hear it for drinking.
Yeah. And then we turned around.
Let's hear it for drinking on the job, guys.
And we got it right back to them later that day. And we had the books like 10 days later. So it was pretty cool.
Funny. That's funny. So you don't write all of your comics then?
I write everything except for Necroholic.
Okay, yeah.
But Necroholic's owned by Brian Lee. We just published that for him. But I write 47 Furious Tales, Tibby and Her Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms. I write Reign of Ages, and then I'm writing the product we've got coming later, which is 1 in a Million, which is our first superhero book and our first all ages comic.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. That's fun. So I just got to ask, because I'm curious, is Sinopa your full-time job? Is this something that you do every day?
No, I work it as a full-time job, but in the evenings, like when my little girl goes to sleep, I'm usually up till 2 or 3 in the morning working on stuff. And then I'm up at 6, and then I'm at my day job at 8, and then I'm there till 4:30.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I work a full-time job too, and do one comic, and I couldn't imagine. Yeah, it's a lot.
I don't sleep a lot.
I normally get 6 hours sleep. Seems to be like the best for me, but like I said, I've been off work for a couple of weeks, and now I just turned into a bum. I slept till noon today, and I woke up like I can't wait to go back to bed.
I get like 3 or 4 hours usually, and then on the weekends I just crash. Unless it's a convention day, and then it's like, hey, up at 6 and we're out the door. Boom, boom, boom.
Matthew Crick asks, how do I feel about Image Comics? Well, I like the concept of Image, that they'll publish, that you could use Image and you retain your rights to the point, like when I get like, I hope I make it to like 10 issues of my comic, I would like to approach Image and maybe like, hey, is this something you would like to publish or whatever? I don't know. But I got no problems with Image. Image used to be like, to me, garbage. I said it last night, but Image Comics in the 90s was just a poster company, because you didn't read those comics. You just looked, they published little pamphlets of posters. But at one point, I'd say around 2000, 2005, Image was the best comic book publisher. And then now it's just, I don't know. That's how I feel about Image. Do you have anything to say about Image Comics?
I've actually enjoyed a lot of Image titles over the years, but here, really since 2019, I have very rarely been buying anything that isn't like from an indie creator, because I have found such cool, kooky little stuff. Like one of my favorites is Coronary. Coronary was a great little miniseries. Brian Hawkins did a book called Cornrows, and he's not been able to get all of the books finished and done because he funded the first one and didn't get the second one funded. But I'm hoping he's going to bring it back. It's magnificent. One of my favorite indie comics right now, let me just break this down. I've got some core ones that I read. Boston Metaphysical Society by Madeline Holly Rossing. Miskatonic
wow, you mentioned
High.
a bunch of comics I've never heard of.
Miskatonic High by Mike Shea. Absolutely fantastic. Human
Where
Hunter.
can you find all of these?
That's a good question. Mike has his available on his website, but I would take and just tag him on Twitter under Miskatonic High, and Madeline Holly Rossing under M. Holly Rossing under Boston Metaphysical Society for their two titles. And then Atrocity Press. Atrocity Press actually, one of the owners of that company has a store where he sells stuff out of too. So they've got their set up on their website. But that's Johnny Reed. But you can reach out to them, Atrocity Press, on Facebook and on Twitter. And then Niobe by Larry Patrick Higgins. I think that's really good. Although the thing is, I just got Savage Sin in the mail, which is his fantasy love letter to D&D. And I think I almost am starting to like Savage Sin more than Niobe. It's really, really good. But
I mean, you had me because I'm a Lovecraft freak.
Now I'll tell you another one that's really, really good that a lot of people are sleeping on. And this is from a guy named Warren Brown. He's a buddy of mine out in Oregon. Warren puts out this comic titled Sig and Joe, and it's an anthropomorphic cigarette and a cup of coffee and a few human characters. And I'm going to tell you, I love that book. That book is freaking awesome. And he has worked his fingers to the bone to improve as an artist over the last 5-6 years. I actually have a cover that he's done for us for 47 Furious Tales that we're going to be releasing on one of the book releases later this year. Just absolutely fantastic. And those are really, I think, some of my top favorites. I'm also a big fan of some of the work of Tyler Carpenter from Draw and Talk. I just actually backed one of his My Sexy Witch Academia books. I've got the first two, but I haven't read through all of the first one yet. But I think one of the ones I like really about his was his Chef's book, which unfortunately he's not doing anymore. But that was a fun title. Now his big title that he's been running lately is The Girl with the Megafists. And
yes,
that is a fun book. Tyler's got a real knack for storytelling. I think a lot of people are sleeping on what he does in his books. Just like with Larry, because Larry's a fantastic storyteller, as are the guys at Atrocity Press. These are folks who are really stepping out and not telling the same old retelling of stories we've seen in the past. I mean, Larry bases a lot of his books on adventure sessions from tabletop games, right? And then Max DeVille from Atrocity Press, him and Johnny Reed. A lot of his dynamics in his storytelling, you can tell where he's influenced from his years when he was deployed, right? And just really, really great stuff.
Yeah, I was just looking. That Miskatonic High looks right. While you were talking, I signed up for his newsletter. That looks right up my alley. So thank you for. I just love hearing. As much as I'm into comics and crowdfunding, there's still so much out there that I can't possibly know it all. So
I will tell you right now, you can't. If you are, like you said, if you're a Lovecraft fan, get Miskatonic High. That book is fantastic. I've backed every single one of them since. I think I found it on Kickstarter at issue 7 or issue 8, and I always make sure that I back it every time it comes on, because it's fantastic. And the other thing too, I have seen some books that looked really cool on crowdfunding. Some of these I'm still waiting on for an inordinate amount of time, and I'm pretty simple kind of guy. I can't tell if I like your book until I have your book. So once I get some of these guys in, maybe I'll start, sharing the gospel of what they're doing too. But right now I'm looking forward to stuff from Madeline that I should have probably, I think next month is when it's coming in. And then Mike's got a campaign on, I think right now actually, that we'll probably fulfill in a couple of months. Just fantastic people who've gotten their creator feet up underneath them, and also found their processes so that they're making their fulfillment, making their books and delivering, and usually exceeding what they're promising. Especially Madeline. Madeline will tell you it's this story, and it's this, and it's just really well done, and you get it, and it's all that, and then like buku more. She's just such a fantastic storyteller.
Oh. So I just want to make sure. So your next campaign is going to be TB, or time traveling psychedelic mushrooms.
Yep,
TB. You go to Kickstarter, and then you're going to bring to Fund My Comic.
Yeah, after the Kickstarter is fulfilled, we'll bring books over to Fund My Comic. Yeah.
You're not using Indiegogo?
Indiegogo, I had a bad experience with. To be very transparent, I put a campaign up and I did the same thing. It was a second chance campaign following a Kickstarter campaign. We were expecting the books to be in probably the second week the campaign would have been up. We set up for a 3-week campaign. Launched it after we got approval, which only took a couple of days. And then you could not find that campaign.
Yep. I was going
to
say the same exact thing that I agree with. I'm not using Indiegogo ever again.
To be very specific, I would share the link out, and you would hit the link, and it would take you to the Indiegogo search page. And if you've ever tried to search for a campaign on Indiegogo, you know how frustrating that is.
Yeah.
The only way I could get to the campaign was to go into my profile, to my campaigns, and click on it. And in 21 days, the only people who visited that campaign were me, because I was the only person who could get to it.
Yeah,
and it was live, and I just
I did pretty well on Fund My Comic. I launched first on Fund My Comic. Mm-hmm. I did okay on Kickstarter, and I got 4 sales on Indiegogo, and I don't think So I don't know why that's. I don't know if supposedly somebody did research. They were trying to get in touch with actual human beings to talk to, and they said that the address for Indiegogo is like, not even joking, like above a laundromat in some city. Like it's just like it doesn't really exist. Probably no employees. It's just an algorithm or something like that. So if you get caught up in a shadow banning or whatever, there's nothing you could do. So I don't want to deal with that.
See, I don't necessarily think it was shadow banning. I think, and this is just my experience as someone who's done a lot with technical support apparatus as well. I never really knee jerk to the point of ascribing malice where it could more likely be incompetence.
Right. Yeah. When I say shadow banning, I didn't mean somebody sat there, the evil. I just meant like you just got caught up in whatever, some incompetence. Because malice would mean that there's actual people there doing stuff. And I don't think there's anybody actually working for Indiegogo.
And it's hard to get a hold of them. Like I had an email from one of the guys at Indiegogo, and it was one of the things they sent out to a lot of creators. Yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago they got rid of a lot of their staff. But this email I got was just a couple of months ago. It was right before Thanksgiving, like a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, and I replied to it because I had some things I'd like to talk to them about. And they were asking, hey, if you got ideas to improve the platform, let us know. I said, boy, do I have some ideas. First thing you got to do is fix that search feature, because you can't search and retrieve hardly anything on Indiegogo's search page.
Yeah, I was searching stuff that I knew I backed just to see how easy it was, because I didn't want to go to my home page and then you're back. So I was just like, okay, I back TB just for the sake of argument. Go to Indiegogo. You can't find anything. You can't find anything. I had friends looking up my own comic that I knew was there. They couldn't. I don't know.
And one of the things, like Fund My Comic, I talked to Luke several times, and one of the things that I like about that, and one of the ways that we are using Fund My Comic, that was an option that Luke was very, very vocal about the entire time it's been up, is rather than using it just as like a crowdfunding platform, which we have, The way we're using it now is we're using it as one of our storefronts. So when we post stuff up on Fund My Comic, it's stuff that we have in inventory or that's available from our suppliers. Like if we're doing like our mugs, for example, our mugs usually ship from Printful within 2 or 3 days. And then people have them usually within a week in the United States. If they're, I think like the longest I've seen one, I have a guy in Japan who like backs everything we do. And he is a big fan of the coffee mugs and stuff. But the coffee mugs from Printful to get to Japan have to come from Australia. So he usually has like 2-3 weeks for them to get to him. But he loves them, man. He sends me photos of them and stuff like that. And then in like the DMs and stuff, he's a pretty cool dude. Yeah, he's pretty neat. But
I had one guy in Warsaw, Poland, who got one of everything that I made. I was like, and it got there quicker than Canada. So go figure.
Yeah,
cheaper.
I'll tell you that thankfully the Canadian postal strike is over. But Canada is usually pretty swift for stuff, unless you get stuff that gets hung up. Like when I get stuff that comes to me from Canada, that's really slow. But I have a lot of stuff coming from like 2 particular creators. So I imagine customs is like, why is this guy getting packages every month from Ontario? What's up with this? Because there's sometimes when I get my comics from Canada and they've been opened and searched and stuff, and that's just part and parcel of it. But the wild stuff that happens with some of these places just will blow you away sometimes.
Yeah, I got a package sent back from Canada that I just had to resend again. I just feel like saying, why do I have to pay shipping again when it was your strike that messed up everything? But
now the nice part is that I have I've been
I
think we just desynced for a second. Can you hear me?
I lost you for a second. What did you say?
Oh, I was saying the nice thing though right now with shipping is I've been using stamps.com for several years now. And here's one thing I've never done. I've never done like an email list promotion. I've never done that. So we're about to do that for like the first time. And so for all of you who are out there who are like, hey, I've never gotten anything in my inbox from you. Well, you get tracking numbers from me usually, and that's it. But in the coming weeks, about a week before we go live, we're going to do an email thing where we just do the email marketing list on the email list and send out stuff to everyone who's ever backed Sinopa projects. And a few other creator friends of mine have agreed to go ahead and put my my promo thing and send an email. Hey, Gray Wolf, what's up? And so we're hoping that we can get out to maybe 5,000 or 6,000 different people with that email campaign. Because we really want to take and get our funding goal and get this done. The guys are working on pages right now. The thing about not being an artist, though, is that that adds the expense of doing the art, and I do everything I can to pay my people pretty well. So I talked about this on a video I put out a few days ago on Twitter and on YouTube, as far as like budget calculations and stuff. And our interior page budget right now is only $250 a page. But when you've got 24 pages, that's $6,000.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah.
Right. So we're usually $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 just in art production costs.
Yeah. And then shipping and then printing. And then...
Right. Yeah. So the thing is that I've already stuck a couple of thousand into this book. No big deal. We would have had more like $5,000 into this book. But like I said, last summer I had COVID and I used, some of the money from the company reserves to pay for medication and such, for those out-of-pocket costs that my insurance didn't cover. But the thing is that even at $250, that's not a really high page rate for the whole budget, because that's line art, colors, and letters. That's not a whole lot. Where I'd rather be is like at $400, and that's a big deal. But to get to there, we need to reach like $18,000 in funding, and so the plan is since we're just throwing everything in and not having like tiered stretch goals, we're going to have a goal that is actually probably going to be like at the $20,000 mark to account for the Kickstarter fee. And at that range, we're going to see a bump in the pay to the artist, the letterer, the colorist, and to the editor.
That's what my, if I hit to 10,000, Renzo, my artist, gets a bonus. I unfortunately didn't make it, and then I joke around that if we get to 100,000, I fly everybody to New York and we play role-playing games.
Well, if we hit 100,000, I'm not flying anybody nowhere. I'm paying for the next book and actually next 2 books.
Yeah.
And then I'm paying the IRS and the Kentucky Revenue Cabinet, because they always have to get their share.
Yeah, tell me about it. So anyway, this has been an hour. Anything you want to say? I like I said, this book I just got because the art and the coloring is so good. And I'm glad you're back making it number 2, because I was just like, okay, the guy made his 1 comic and he moved on, So I'm glad to see you back. You're going to be launching with
either the last month of February or either the last week of February or the first week of March.
Okay.
I've got a couple of things I want to take care of and have present in the campaign. So we want to have the narrative pages we're working on right now. We're probably going to launch with about 4 pages being shown. 2 of the NSFW pages that we have done already for this full splash pages. This right here is actually the not safe for work cover variant. When it's printed, it's going to be a completely virgin variant, so there won't be a trade dress on there. There won't be the Sinopa Fox logos hiding the bit. And honestly, when you see that thing in person, it's probably the best looking cover you're going to see all year.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Like I said, on a wall of comics at Fund My Comic, I was like, I'm going to get this. I really like the art. But I'm going to go. I have to be on another channel in a half hour.
Standing.
Is there anything that you wanted to say that I talked too much and didn't give you a chance to say?
No, I mean, guys, if you would, please hit the notify me on launch. I'd love to see you guys on launch day to take advantage of our early bird tiers, to get pledged in, save yourself a couple of dollars, and to help us work the algorithm a little bit. I really would love to see us hit like 100, 150, 200 backers that first 48 hours to really drive home to the Kickstarter algo that we have a lot of interest in the project. And really get people, because we want to raise $10,000 on this, which that's covering basically what's left of the price for the art, a little bit of the press run fee, and then the shipping to you, and the rest is coming out of our cash reserves.
Trust me, from making my own comic, 10,000 is just about the break even point. At least it was for me.
Well, the thing is, if you're printing like 5,000 comics, that's another $4,800.
Yeah, I didn't print as much as you.
Gotcha.
I didn't print I printed probably double what I sold.
Yeah,
hoping that I'll get some new customers in number 2. But I'm gonna go. Thanks a lot for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you're still publishing, and I'm gonna DM you because I wanted to ask you about that role playing book and a few other things. So after I'm done talking tonight, I'm gonna send you a message. Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna go see why my daughter is running.
Yeah, you got to be dad now.
I'll catch up with you guys later.
Bye bye.